Hey guys, this is going to be a quick video. I just want to bring up something for you to think about. Um, Recently, I started watching the Netflix series Dracula, and in the first episode, somebody hangs from the character's window upside down, writes something on his window. When the sunlight hits the window, it casts a shadow, and he sees, "Help me." Now, he's in a foreign country. He goes to a nunnery, and he's telling the nun about that. And she said, "Well, doesn't something about that strike you as odd?" And he goes, "Yeah, the fact it was written upside down." And she said, "Well, no, the position the person writing it was in, it would appear upside down to you. But doesn't something else strike you as odd?" And he goes, "No, not really." She said, "The fact it was English." And he said, "Oh, well, I'm an English man. I never even thought about that." And she said, "Of course not, because as an English man, you've got a whole range of assumptions that you never think about." And then that popped into my head last night because being a Jewish man, I went to Library TV. Now, Library TV is a decentralized platform I've linked my YouTube to, and which I may unlink because I'm going to tell you why. I'm currently considering it. But I went to Library TV, and being a Jewish man, I would like to see videos on, my faith from other Jewish people and such. So I type in Jewish. Every single video, every single one that was returned was anti Semitic. Everyone. I mean, just horrible videos. So I turn around and I go to report these videos uh, because they're hate speech. And there is no way to report hate speech. And they claim, we're anti censorship and all this. And I thought about it because, for one, I think a lot of people coming up with these solutions are white. They've got a level of white privilege. They're not a discriminated against minority. And so they're assuming things and they got a different level of values that they're working with. And the fact is that things like this do cause violence. They do cause death. Um, if you look at all the violence against Jews, all the attacks that have happened recently, anti Semitism is on the rise, Jewish attacks are on the rise, people are getting killed for being Jewish. Um, you look, two guys the other day were held at gunpoint by a man who thought they were Antifa and they were just salesmen for a roofing company. Um, you know, the pizza shop got shot up because there was a conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton was running a pedophile ring in the basement. I mean, it doesn't matter how ridiculous and false it is. If it keeps getting repeated, you are going to have people who believe it and will act on that fear that you've instilled in them. So it made me wondering, is our white privilege blinding us to coming up with true solutions to the problems of authoritarian regimes, protecting whistleblowers, the type of thing like that? And you think how many people have to die for a whistleblower that isn't even around yet to have a forum to where they can do their whistleblowing. How important, how many lives is that worth? And look at the Tor network. The Tor is another decentralized service. It's an anonymous service, decentralized service as well. But Tor, it was set up to protect journalists and protect whistleblowers and such as that. And what's it used for? Drugs and child pornography. How many children have to be molested to protect a journalist that may need Tor? And this is the type of thing that I'm struggling with because I believe these solutions are really no solution. They're preying on the vulnerable, and it's people that are in the majority who are not discriminated against, who are not marginalized, who are not targeted, who are deciding, oh well, it's worth the risk, and it just makes me question the whole thing, as if the whole idea of anti-censorship is only valid if you're not someone who would be targeted by these people with their hate speech, and that eventually leads to violence, and eventually leads to death. Um, the journalist or whoever who may come out and whistle blow, well, is it that worth it to have a platform for them and to keep them from experiencing risk, but put all these marginalized communities at risk? um, I don't think that we're in a position to where we can make that judgment call, and I'm not so sure that we are even the people who can come up with a solution, because we're not targeted minorities, well, for the most part. We're not marginalized, we're not discriminated against for the most part. So we don't understand what it's like to be in that situation, and the fear of these people causing deaths to your loved ones. Um, so I'm sort of thinking that this anti-censorship thing is sort of going too far. I mean, like I said, uh, Tor is an abomination. Sure, it's going to keep a journalist safe, but at the risk of how many kids who are trafficked, who are molested and abused. Um, is that journalist worth it? Is his safety so paramount that we're putting other people at risk? It doesn't seem right to me. And seeing, my own people put at risk um, was my wake up call. And it's unfortunate that other people um, who are behind these things uh, can't uh, fathom and can't put themselves in my shoes or someone else's shoes in the same situation, uh, because they've got the whole white privilege thing, because they're in the white bubble. And I mean, sure, there may be some minorities that work on these things, but I'd be willing to bet the people who are really pushing it are not, and they are looking at through eyes of privilege and deciding who's worth protecting and who isn't. Um, and I don't feel that's acceptable. Thanks.